Hi guys, it's Ouch110. How's everyone doing? Good, 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 I hope. Got a very special video for you today. I'm reviewing a fragrance by the lovely Dan Naughton from MrSmelly1977. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's becoming a thing for YouTubers to release their own fragrance, and some people don't agree with it, but I think, what the hell? Beauty bloggers release their own makeup palettes. Why can't we do it, huh? So, hi Dan, because I know you're going to watch this. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully we can meet up again soon when all of this craziness is over. But I'm here to talk about your GRAVITAS. So Dan has released a fragrance. It's under the name Naughton & Wilson. And the perfumer behind this one is John Stephen. He's been responsible for quite a few Boadicea the Victorious fragrances. And he's made some for Check and Speak, which is quite a well-known classic English brand that makes a lot of gentlemanly, classic sort of fragrances and shaving and things like that. And it makes sense because this is the road we go down with this fragrance. So Dan wanted to create something that was classic, that was gentlemanly, so he has gone down the fougere route with this fragrance. I must say, I love this bottle. It's super chunky, super heavy. The sprayer I really like as well. It sprays out quite a lot. I'm going to be wearing this one a lot today because it's in the air. And to be totally transparent, Dan actually sent me this for free. I did not buy this. However, he did not ask me to review it. He just sent it to me because, hey, I'm his friend. And I want to show support to a fellow Brit, fellow YouTuber, fellow fragrance lover who is trying something new and venturing out into the world of fragrance on their own. So, yeah. Full support for this one. So let's spray it on my hand while I tell you the notes. The top notes are mandarin, bergamot, and lavender. The heart notes are coriander, pepper, and cardamom. And the base notes are patchouli, oak moss, ambergris, and vanilla. So like I said, I wouldn't expect anything less from Dan. Dan is a very well put together man, always snappily dressed, and I feel like this fragrance suits his whole persona, his whole image, his whole branding. He's very suave, I would say, so he wanted to create a fougere in a classic style that is going to be familiar, a tried and tested formula. But I will say this, there are some surprises. So the opening of this fragrance to me, and I will say that classic fougères are pretty much the polar opposite of what I wear. So this was quite an adventure, going down the route of wearing a fougère a couple of times because I feel like they don't fit me, but that's besides the point. So in the opening, it delivers to you a classic fougère on every level. It ticks every single box. You have a citrusy lavender opening, very masculine, and it reminds me of things from my childhood that my mum's friends wore around me quite a lot. You know, those things they used to spray on their skin to kind of go out and meet their friends for a few drinks or for a special night out. Doesn't make a difference. But it feels familiar. So the opening part is the most familiar, and then it does start to change quite a bit, and the dry down for me is the magic part. I have worn this a few times. I have made other people wear this a few times because fougères aren't my kind of natural style. I like to maybe try it out on a few other people and see what it smells like in the air on people that are a lot more gentlemanly than me, because I certainly am not. So the opening's great, it's vibrant, it's bright, it's definitely traditionally masculine. You can start to feel the spices come into play a little bit when it starts to dry. I will say that the transition happens quite quickly from the opening to the dry down, but the dry down is where the magic happens for me. It's dry on this hand, so once you get past the aromatic, classic lavender citruses and the spice starts to come into play, the dry down is where it's different. The dry down is not what you would consider to be a classic fougère. It retains its masculinity for sure, but the vanilla has a really big role to play here. So this is where it was surprising, and the dry down I think is absolutely beautiful. So in the drying stages, drying to dry, the fragrance becomes very woody, and the vanilla is like a little magic trick here. So the fragrance never smells of vanilla, but there's a level of sweetness that appears from the vanilla, which is contrasting to the entire style, but also complementary. And The vanilla is like a blanket. It creates a softness in the dry down, and like I said, it doesn't smell vanilla-y. We're not going into gourmand territory in the dry down, but the vanilla adds a touch of fluff and softness to the fragrance, so it adds its tonality and its character as opposed to its smell. So what you get in the dry down is actually something that is touching on the fougere style, but to me it's way more sultry. This smells like clean, sexy man smell, and the softness with the woody notes in the base, you've got the oak moss there, you've got the patchouli there. It doesn't feel like any of those notes stick out in particular. It's because this fragrance is blended so well that you just get a feeling from it. It almost feels like there could be a tiny touch of white musk in here, because it does have that spark of cleanliness in the dry down, which is really, really beautiful. So dry down is great. I will say that it's the heart notes that get a tiny bit lost for me, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying they're not there. You can tell that this fragrance has been put together to smell like one when it gets to the dry stages. So it's like a descendants. You start with this classic fougere that feels familiar and gentlemanly and everything you would expect, and done and executed very well. But then the dry stages reveal something that I wasn't expecting, so that is a plus point for me. So well done, Dan. I think it's so casual enough to be worn every day. There aren't surprises in the way of craziness, but that's not what you're going to get from a classic fougere. That was not the goal. The goal here was not to shock. I want to talk about the ambergris note as well, because that one works in tandem with the vanilla to create the texture in the dry down. So it almost stops the vanilla from becoming so sweet. So the dry down is, I'm going to say, almost powdery in certain aspects. Really, really cool. I really like the dry down. I can't say that enough. I get about 6 hours out of this one. The opening stages are very quick. The actual fougere part of it, where it's very much fougere, probably lasts about 20 or 30 minutes, but luckily I like the dry down more. So the dry down then becomes a nice, gentle, wafting, clean and quite sexy man fragrance. I'm so pleased that you sent me this, Dan. Thank you so much. I wish you all of the success in the world with this one. I can see a lot of people wearing this, you know, suit, tie, put together, dapper kind of guys like yourself. So that's it. That's my review of GRAVITAS by Dan Naughton and Scott Wilson. Well done, Dan. Anyway guys, I'm out, 110, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. I hope you like this video. Goodbye.